Hello and welcome to the Metalheads Podcast. My name is George.
This is Buke.
This is Jay.
And we are here today with the guys in Pile of Priests.
Hello.
You guys want to introduce yourselves and tell us what you do in the band?
My name is Evan Salvador. I play guitar and I do vocals, most of the composition as well.
I'm Evan Knight, and I do the drums.
I'm Patrick. I play bass, and I do some backup vocals as well.
Why is the bass player always going last, guys? Every band we bring on.
It's the pecking order.
It's because we're both named Evan, so there's just this weird connection.
Yeah, it kind of blurs together, you know.
They're also really dumb.
He's also a ginger.
Redheaded stepchild.
Yeah, so if you could answer fewer of the questions, we'd appreciate that.
Enjoy that too.
Just to give our listeners some quick facts, where you guys at?
We are at, let's see, this is Westminster, Colorado, just outside of Denver. This is our jam space. It's also his house. And it's kind of just our Saturday hangout spot where we, you know, listen to music and wax philosophically and do all the weird things that band members do. I don't know, you know.
Well, and I honestly asked that question with a hidden agenda because I just wanted to point out that you're all probably three stoned out of your minds since you're in Colorado.
Straight edge, bro.
Actually, just me.
Yeah, just him.
Just me.
Straight edge, bro.
There you go.
Triple X.
Who lives in Colorado?
Exactly. Well, they used to dabble, but, you know, they had too much fun, and now it's time to, you know, slow it down because they're getting old.
Yeah. I know all about that.
We all have families and lives and careers.
I get paranoia problems.
That's a real thing.
I'm becoming an engineer, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has to.
Yeah, he can't kill people with engines.
Is that a choo-choo train engineer
you're
or you know?
So let me first start out by saying how it came to you guys coming to our attention, what brought you here to the podcast. As you know, as our listeners know on every episode, we are a little bit of Bandcamp whores.
Hell yeah.
Big time.
Good place.
The addiction, you know, you can never chase that dragon enough, you know. I can be like fucking Lane Stanley here, the needle's still in my arm, and I'm like, give me more Bandcamp.
Yeah. I actually bought your EP just like half an hour ago. Just was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Awesome, thank you.
They're already on the podcast. You don't got to fucking suck up to them.
I know, but it was. I just thought it was topical since I was like, you know, I got 20 minutes to spare. What should I do? Go on Bandcamp? And I was like, oh, Will bought it. I forgot that was up here, so I thought I'd grab that too. Yeah.
So as a fan of death metal, I saw, first off, was attracted to the name Pile of Priests, which is awesome.
I was going to ask who came up with that and what exactly does it mean, other than that it's awesome.
Yeah.
2009 is when we first started, and we were just thinking of names. I don't know if it was like, at first we were just thinking of, you know, this sounds brutal, you know, it was like zombie assault and then something else, and, you know, it just sounded a little too generic, so like, why not Pile of Priests? Because, you know, it doesn't roll off the tongue, for one. And then, two, we can be the new pop sensation of death metal.
Indeed.
Yeah, that works.
I'd like to think so.
Well, and then there's the fact that we jammed behind a huge church, so it was pretty blasphemous.
All right.
That too, yes. At my parents' place.
We've got a couple of questions from one of our other Metalheads alumni who couldn't be here today, and he sent in some questions for us to ask, and it now seems like a good time to ask this. He said, I assume you're not a fan of religion based on the band's name, song titles, and lyrics. Did any of you guys grow up religious?
We're the best Catholic band around.
What are you talking about?
Okay, but Pile, you know, Pile could be something else. You know, Pile of Priests could easily be, you know, like a football game of priests or something, George. Let's not jump to conclusions here.
Hey, no, this is Will jumping to conclusions. I wouldn't ask this myself.
Priests' hemorrhoids.
Yeah, there's all kinds of possibilities.
Yeah, a rugby scrum of priests, you know?
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, I wasn't really religious in any way. So, yeah, I don't think most of us really were.
Neither was I.
Yeah, and actually, my dad's a philosopher and my mom's a witch.
All right. Because Will's follow-up question there was, if you're atheists, do you plan on voting for Bernie Sanders because he's an atheist? I did not know this.
Oh, my goodness. I'm just going to go ahead and say I will not discuss any political agendas with any of us on this podcast, so he's not getting that answer.
That's fine. I fully agree with that.
Okay, well, we can scratch that gay marriage question off. God damn it. I really I was like, what does Pilot Priest think about gay marriage? Now I'm not going to fucking know. So. God damn it.
Yeah, you guys think this is a metal podcast, but we're here to ask the hard questions.
We're getting grilled now. Flip me over.
So, again, which attracted me to you guys is, as a fan of death metal, there's a lot of shit on Bandcamp that I've mentioned before in the pod that sucks. I'll just call it for what it is. And you guys came to my attention because it was an old school death sound that really shined through. But what I like in my death metal is there's a technical element there. And Absolutely. Like Evan, your solo work, I think it's the second track, is it?
Yes, this Evan.
Yes, that Evan.
As well as myself.
Yeah. Yes. Amazing. And that's what drew me to you guys. So anybody who's a fan of death metal, and more so a fan of the technical aspect, not like technical revocation style.
Sure.
Check these guys out. And that's
it's like I would call it old school technical, Buke. Yes. You know what I mean? Like because it's hard stuff to play. There's no question about that. But it's not necessarily math metal, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. No, and I think too, Death and Chuck Schuldiner, and he's one of my biggest influences.
There you go.
There's a lot of technicalities in Death that isn't, it doesn't make it a techie or a brutal aspect. It just is fucking raw, and that's what I really appreciate that style. And 1995 is the year, like that is our sound.
And Evan, you also shine through to me too. Is that your vocals? A lot of death metal vocals right now. You hear the term. George will say he coined it.
I did.
You hear a lot of the Cookie Monster death metal vocals that you don't have that. You got that old school like Morbid Angel type of sound,
Fuck yeah. Thank you.
Perfect way to put it.
So the thing with that, so he's a guitarist and vocalist at the same time, so he can't do none of this cupping the mic,
Yeah.
So it's like it forces him to use the proper technique.
Yep,
definitely.
Now, have you guys, since you formed the band, were you all three in it from the start?
So it's me and Patrick formed it in 2009 with our old drummer, Sean Bartholomew. And he left the band in 2011, and then Evan joined early 2012. So he's kind of a newer, even though he's been in the band longer now than Sean was originally, he kind of came to us, and he's in a couple other bands as well. So between, them not being very busy and us really needing a drummer, and he stepped up. He's a guitar player. He's also like everything that you can imagine on the musical realm.
Yeah, Evan, this is Skype, and of course people won't see this. Who's the cello player I see behind you?
Me.
Awesome, Evan. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, he can pick up any instrument and just make it his bitch.
Nice.
We haven't heard Patrick's voice enough yet. I'm only mentioning that because while we're throwing out praise, I really think the drums are pretty great on this too, dude. Throwing these really tasty little ride things here and there on your ride cymbal and stuff, and just fucking clicked in, dude. Fucking sounds really good. That's it. Wasn't a question.
Yeah. So guys, when you started playing together, was this the style that you guys kind of knew from the outset you wanted to play?
We were playing a lot of more thrash metal at the beginning, like death thrash, and then progressively we started becoming more and more death metal, started moving more towards things like Edge of Sanity, like a progressive death metal kind of influence towards it.
Edge of Sanity. I saw one of you guys wearing that T-shirt in one of your photos.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Just
that's awesome.
Bastard.
I like that Nothing Face shirt too. The Voivod, I mean, not the band Nothing Face.
Oh yeah, not the band Nothing Face. So for, again, just to remind people, this is the guys from Pilot Priest and their new album, Void to Enlightenment. Gentlemen, you guys here, how has the last year been? How's 2016 looking for you guys? Any tour plans? I know you guys have a show later today.
Yes.
Woo! Yeah, no, we have a very, very busy schedule for 2016. Since this is the first CD we've released in, I think, almost 5 years now? Yeah, about 5 years now. So we have a couple shows planned for right now. We're actually going to be in a German magazine as of next week. And we are going on a tour in April. We're going to be announcing that about probably next week as well. Or now.
Or yeah.
Well, this won't post till next week, so that's perfect.
Yep.
What's the magazine? What's the name of the magazine?
It's Legacy Magazine.
Right.
I thought it was like some sort of German bondage thing,
That would be
No, it's like like the nickel trader or something like that too. It's a German thing.
We're working our way towards that.
I saw you guys recently posted a review on your Facebook page from somebody. Somebody had written the review, and I read that, and I was a little confused because the reviewer was, for the most part, pretty positive. But he felt that the album was hampered by poor production, which was when I started scratching my head because I was like, this is really good production, particularly for a death metal album. It's got that cool old school like 90s sound where you can actually hear what's going on.
Yeah.
And
and that's the thing, we chose to, have more of a rougher production just because of that, so we can capture that era. But also because of our budget.
But I didn't think it was rough. I mean, it's clean. You can hear it. It's not like super Slipknot overproduced, but
right. But yeah, we didn't want it to be overproduced, and that was kind of the main thing with it. That it was something a little more raw, but clean enough to get the point across. And I think it turned out great. I just think a lot of people are looking for this ridiculous, wicked overproduced sound, and you hear it all too often, and it just gets boring. Where everything kind of starts to blend together, sound the same.
Yeah, I'm as Buke will attest, I'm more of a like doom and black metal guy these days because so much of the like contemporary death metal is just this wall of sound that
exactly
it's kind of boring. And I go back and listen to the older stuff from the 90s, and I'm like, this is good.
Yeah, like modern death metal, it's just a wall of noise that hits you, and you just can't decipher
a lot of white noise in it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Not to say that there aren't any people doing good stuff with this,
of course,
but they're few and far between. They're diamonds in the rough as opposed to the majority.
Yeah, and then all the modern tempos. A lot of people are trying to shoot for 240 BPM up to 300. So that's where the snare becomes overpowering and all the cymbals mesh together.
Mm-hmm. BPM, is that a bitterness units thing? Help me out here, dude.
Yes.
So this kind of leads into a good question here, and also Patrick, I'm sorry I was hitting you with drum questions because George slapped me in the face with a text and said, "Hey, dude." So Patrick is the bass player. Your drummer's not present, or
he's right there.
He's right there.
Well, I thought he had the kick-ass guitar solo. What the fuck?
He does that as well.
Yeah, he does that.
Okay.
That's what's incredible.
He's the multi-purpose tool.
Now I get it.
Yes.
Boy, this is getting complicated. Since we're talking about production styles and things like that, like what are some of the bands that you guys love? And I'm sort of assuming that that's some of the kind of production styles you shoot for, but more specifically, what are the bands you guys like now, new and old?
I think we all collectively, like the same bands. We all have different influences, that persuade us more so than one other band. Like I said, Death, Edge of Sanity, and I also like, some of the, black metal stuff from the 90s too, like Dissection, and their comeback album is ridiculous. That definitely, like the composers themselves weigh in a huge amount to us. For Patrick, he's always looking for like the awesome bass players, that kind of shine through, especially with Death, Steve DiGiorgio, Sadis. He's also in Sadis as well. Obscura, Cynic, and all those kick-ass bands too. Evan, kind of all over the place. Definitely, Meshuggah influenced Voivod.
So I like kind of all the Meshuggah.
Oh no!
Okay, to me, they are the most overrated band in metal. But I know some people say
they're doing something that I think was definitely innovative for their time, and they started something, and now there's all these copycat bands too. So you see a lot of that nowadays as well. We like to just kind of mishmash our influences, definitely.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead, George.
I was going to ask. So those are some of the things you like now. Were those things that like initially got you into music, or did you start perhaps somewhere a little lighter? What did you got you into music in the first place? Was it Britney Spears, and then you were like, oh, I'm going to move on to something heavier? Because like my second album was Michael Jackson's Thriller. So I had a long way to go.
Well, yeah, definitely when you're younger, it's a lot easier to be sucked into the pop bands. But from an early age, like I was listening to, Ride the Lightning by Metallica, even OFR by Nitro. So like some weird speed metal hair band.
I remember that.
SOD, Anthrax, and Overkill, kind of New York area scene. So mostly thrash for me.
Oh, there's a picture of that guy from Nitro, dude, that is just like this wide frame photo that has to be wide frame because his hair takes up like 6 feet. Yeah,
glorious perms.
You got to look it up, dude. You'll be happy. He was married to Lita Ford for a while.
Oh really? Oh okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know that.
Yeah.
It's good trivia.
Yeah, that's just because Jay's a little jealous that he wasn't married to her.
Well,
who isn't?
I don't know why I know anything about those guys, but he's like this big, what do you call it, real estate. He's big in real estate now.
All right, what about you, Evan?
I guess my end of the spectrum, I listen to a lot of, like the Black Album, Ride to Lightning, were some of the first cassettes I ever owned. But before that even happened, my dad introduced me to this game called Quake. And there's this badass instrumental soundtrack in the back of that, and that just put me in the right direction. Once I heard that, and I was like in second grade, I even had to tell my friends, I was like, have you heard of heavy metal?
But I thought,
awesome. So that was what threw me in the right direction.
And who was it that did the soundtrack for Quake? Because I'm trying to think that it was Nine Inch Nails, believe it or not, did that.
I think it was Trent Reznor.
Yeah, Trent Reznor did it, yeah.
Wow.
9 Inch Nails guys.
I never knew that. I've put thousands of hours into that game.
Sorry?
Oh, yeah. So badass.
I mean, for me, growing up, like, my parents listened to, like, a lot of Queen. I heard Oingo Boingo, a lot of, like, 80s, like, new wave type stuff as a kid. And I got into, like, some weird pop punk crap, like Blink-182. And then I started getting into, like, heavy metal around my cousins. And then I found Behemoth. And from there, it just went straight uphill for me.
How'd you guys, I like to ask this question because a lot of bands are meeting each other on Craigslist and stuff like that. Did you guys all grow up with one another, or did you guys know each other through a mutual friend? What brought you three metalheads together?
Turkish bathhouse.
All right, so the place I started working at in 2009. It's not nearly as homosexual as you want it to be. Until later on, we'll get into that. Whatever. Anyways, so in 2009, we started. Me and Patrick started working with each other. His sister was actually my boss, and then he got a job there. We just started talking about music and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, what do you listen to?" I was like, I never want to bring up metal first thing because everybody, usually is like, "Oh, that's weird" or something like that. But he's like, "Yeah, I listen to like Slayer and Testament and shit." I was like, "No way!" And I had my fucking Slayer shirt on, so I lifted my shirt, and he's like, "Oh, right on." And then we just started talking about it, and he was jamming with this guy Sean, and then they were like, "Hey, we should try and figure something out." So we started playing with each other, not in a homosexual way.
Funny thing,
I was going to jump on that.
Yeah, funny thing is that you just said there for a second, you were a little apprehensive about mentioning what you listen to, because people always ask me, "Buke, what do you listen to?" And I say metal. And then, they always say, what do you like Metallica or Slipknot? My favorite band being Opeth. So I say that, and they look at me like, how when a dog hears like a high-pitched sound, their head goes like a 45, like, that's how people look at me when I say real metal bands. And the conversation usually quickly dies then.
Exactly. Or somehow, like Screamo or Five Finger Death Punch. Like,
you like Avenged Sevenfold?
Yeah.
What about?
You might as well say, I think they look at you like you just said you're a fan of professional wrestling. You know what I mean? Like that's
something
that's
like
what
that.
feel I always get, yeah.
Oh,
so I
so
just assume
Satan,
not talk about it. Yeah.
So then,
it's like every person suddenly is your grandmother. Oh, honey,
exactly.
What kind of thing is that?
Isn't that stuff evil?
So when did Evan come into the fold then?
Let's see. So we knew him from his other band, Sons of Sorath, and when we started playing live, we played with them a couple times. Super awesome, like occult, black metal, progressive goodness. So he plays guitar for Sons of Sorath. And when it came time, when Sean left the band in October of 2011, right after our EP was released, so like the worst time possible, we started talking with people and trying to figure out something to do. We're trying to figure out, how to keep the leg going and try and get a drummer in as quick as possible. And Evan was like, "Yeah, I play drums, and I think that'd be an awesome fit." So we were even with his kit that he got from his, he's just a friend, right? Oh, yeah. That's right. I was gonna say your aunt, but no, that's my other drummer. It's all some weird like circle jerk. But anyways, so we started playing in his condo, and he even had those little brushes, like, because we couldn't be very loud. So just trying to teach him all the material, getting ready for live shows, and just how committed, he was. We knew it was going to work out, and it's been working great ever since.
Has it come up where, because you see, I like, again, the old death metal sound, a lot of those bands being three-piece bands. Has talk again ever come up? Maybe bring in a fourth, or you guys kind of like what you guys have going now?
Yeah, that comes up quite often. We tried for another guitar player, just trying to get someone on the same level, and if they're interested enough, and whether or not they're going to learn the material and retain it is huge. So
Jay is. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Sorry,
no, go ahead.
Jay is the lead singer and guitar player in the band. When you guys audition new members, how many people come in saying, "Oh yeah, I got chops. I can play. Do you quickly know right away? You're like, oh, this is bad.
Definitely. Before we even let them come in to try out, we just kind of know. Just from like some of our friends.
You know is if they spend a lot of time talking. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, well, you know, I mean, this will be really fun and interesting.
Oh, so you want the guy who comes in with like the little travel amp wrapped around his shoulder, just ready to fucking plug in and melt your face.
19 fret Squire guitar.
Yeah. Ugh. Pig nose.
Back in the early mid-90s, me and some friends were trying to audition singers, and, you know, we were playing stuff like Metallica. And being the early mid-90s, this guy came in that, I don't even know how he found him, but he came in and he had this, like, big frizzy blonde hair, like, fro thing. And he was all like, "You guys like Stone Temple Pilots?" And he's like trying to sing like, you know, a sex type thing or something. And we're just like, next.
Oh no.
Yep. Yeah.
Too grungy.
Yeah.
This isn't going to work. Well, that's cool how you guys all came together. Are there things that you guys are held back from doing in a live setting, being a three-piece? Because Evan, again, that solo I mentioned earlier, you can't work that in playing live, or do you guys not play that?
Well, yeah, his solo parts I do not play live. I could take the time and try and, you know, decode those, but like the
so
first
you know what
solo,
that means, Evan? The band's success is in your hands. Whenever you guys realize you're like, hey, I hold the key piece.
I know it. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we get the point across without the the rhythm riffs that I don't play live, or some of the solos that aren't in there either. And really, it's only just the two. Well, actually, he plays 3 solos, so there's 2 in the second track, and then there's 1 in the instrumental track as well. But that first solo he lays down on track 2 was one take. I'm not even kidding you.
That's
so
insane.
Whether or not he remembers it, like listening to it enough, sure. But we can still, you know, I think the dynamic when we're a 3-piece on stage it's definitely full enough. Like Patrick is a beast of a bass player as well, so that fills in a lot of the rhythm stuff. I don't have to worry about sounding flat when it's just solos. So we kind of compromise altogether. The stuff I'm writing now definitely has more backing riffs and stuff that I'm trying to incorporate live, and it's a little bit different. So if the right rhythm guitar player comes around, or, you know, dual solo guy, that would be incredible as well. But Evan wants to stick on drums, and we respect him for it.
Evan, what do you prefer?
This Evan?
Yes.
Me? Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all in the context, you know, because of the style that Pilot Priest is with this. It's a lot more comfortable, you know, for me to play this style and expand upon it in my own way. Because then a lot of the stuff I play guitar for, you know, I extract a lot of the weird atonal kind of classical era, and then, you know, a lot of the Yngwie Malmsteen style shredding mixed with, you know, ambient black metal stuff. So it's kind of its own dimension compared to like the you know, mid-90s death that we're going for with Pilot Priest. So it's kind of a split in my brain of what styles I'm doing. So I kind of can't, you know, pick one over the other.
Yeah, Patrick. When it comes to you playing, I've always appreciated the bass tones that comes through. Who influences you in the like your favorite bass players? Because I can't, to be honest with you, there's no death metal bass players that I can really think of. Do you have a favorite?
DiGiorgio.
Oh yeah. Steve DiGiorgio for one. I mean, he was early on playing death metal. He was a huge influence on like my outlook on not only how I wanted to play and approach a bass line, but also the kind of tones that he would play as well. Beyond that, I mean, Jerome Paul Thesseling from Obscura.
Oh, man. Isn't that new album a masterpiece?
Oh, dude, that new album is so fucking sweet.
I love it.
Beyond that, I mean, Alex Webster, really strong for rhythm, and, you know, Steve Harris from Iron Maiden.
Yep.
But beyond that, like, I really delve deeper into other genres for bass playing as well, like Jaco Pastorius for jazz, and I look at like I like to play a lot of funk, and live I do a lot of slap pop.
So is Les Claypool like your god?
Oh yeah, dude. Les Claypool is awesome, and like I've always wanted to incorporate more of like a funky slap pop type rhythm into death metal, and I find it just enjoyable.
I can't remember which song it was now. I think it was one of the early ones in the first couple songs on the album. It sort of starts off and then it kind of like stops and there's like boom 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 boom, and I was like, oh, it's like Cryptopsy.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
yes. That's a great way to put it, George.
Well, that was what it first brought to mind, because I think it's the Whisper Supremacy album that one of the songs kind of start. I mean, not like it's the same or anything, but it just kind of reminded me of it. I was like, oh,
and
cool.
You know what, guys? It just came to mind. I think this is what a three-piece band allows. It allows each of your individual personalities to shine through more.
Oh yeah, no, because I mean Evan Knight. I mean he'll play multiple different drumming styles, and then I mean Evan Salvador. I not only is his great singing coming through, but his multiple different views on playing guitar go through, and I mean, yeah, and his song structure is just great. And like for me, like being able to play a 6-string fretless and being able to expand on that, and like playing the strong rhythm or like changing it up or something like that is always fun for me. Yeah, because live, I will actually play different bass lines live.
Wow! So it almost kind of sounds
like completely different songs.
No, not like completely different songs. I'll take things like when I was recording and trying to come up with like filler bass lines, and I always wrote like multiple things like, oh, it'd be really tight if I played this here, but instead I chose to do this on the recording, and so I'll change that up live.
Right on.
Okay, now I have to ask because you know how you see on some like when bands release live albums, you'll get like a couple guitar solo tracks. Well, Metallica, they're throwing like a Rob bass solo. What do you think of a bass solo? Does a bass solo do anything for it? Because to me, I'm like, basses are cool, but I don't think they fit a solo.
Cliff Burton is frowning upon you.
I know.
I mean, on Incantations of Old, there is a bass solo on there that I do. And I mean, I think a bass solo within an actual recorded song is great, but playing it live, like when it's just the bass itself, kind of like jamming in between a track or something like that, yeah, it's kind of hit and miss. It kind of depends on the mood, kind of depends on what you want to do. But live, we'll fuck around with it.
Well, in a live situation, I think everybody, I can speak for Buke at least, and probably George, a bass solo is known as time to go get a beer.
Also the drum solos, oh my God.
Well, and so the bass solo he's talking about in Incantations, so if you notice the way the dynamics shift, it replicates like a jazz trio. So the drum beat gets quieter, and then the guitar riff comes into the background. So there's another play on our jazz influence.
Yeah.
Now, when you guys play live, you incorporate songs from your EP Unholy Death on set. I ask because if you guys ever play live and if you don't play Burn, I'm fucking charging the stage right now.
You know what? Our friend Mitch would love you for saying that because he's always asking us to play Burn, and we're like, dude, we just want to play new material.
Yeah. You never play it?
We never play Burn anymore.
You guys know what happened? The one time you guys play that show, your friend is not going to be there.
I know. Not too long ago, he even him and his buddy even had like these white shirts they wrote on it with Sharpie, like "Play Burn," and we still didn't play Burn. No, it's a great track.
Yeah, you guys say you don't play much of the EP. Is that because you guys almost kind of not ashamed of it is the right word? Is it almost kind of like you're looking forward in a sense?
Right. We're definitely not sick of the material by any means, but not playing out of state and in different. Usually we're just playing in Denver or like within 10 miles, any surrounding area of. So usually those fans have heard all that old stuff just so much. So we always want to try and play the newer stuff. That if they haven't been to our show in a while, we want to show them what we're about now. Less thrashy, a little more death metal. And
I mean no disrespect with this, but the growth I think from the EP to where you guys are at now is tenfold.
Absolutely, and I would agree with you.
Yeah, where you guys don't sound like an upstart band on the EP, but you could hear the growth and the skill improving to where the solid sound shines through. So I would see why you guys wouldn't want to play those.
Exactly. Well, and it took definitely 4 years to write 8 tracks, and I'm very picky. I throw away riffs left and right. But usually we still play at least one of the old songs during a show. So I'll probably say it's usually Ancient Curse or the last song Unholy Death, but we usually throw in one of those for shows.
You guys ever play Burn? I'm telling you fucking film that and put it up on YouTube. And you say Buke. Here it is, Buke.
You got it.
I mentioned before we turned on the recording, what you guys play and take the stage to a pretty cool sample. What is that you guys are taking? It sounds wicked.
Are you talking about before Unholy Death?
Yes.
That is, it's right during The Exorcist where he's given the Lord's Prayer and she's like just writhing in the bed, like, she's spitting on him and such. And then the last, she spits on him. And then right before he finishes, she's like, your mother sucks cocks in hell.
It just sounds so wicked. It's like, yes.
Speaking of The Exorcist, I was in the grocery store the other day and I heard Tubular Bells, which is the theme from I'm like in the grocery store and I'm like, do they know what this is? Like picking out bananas, That
is kind of weird. Like they were playing the X-Files or something like that.
Those bananas are rotting.
Guys, speaking about playing live, how is the Denver, Colorado scene for death metal band?
Well, you shouldn't ask me about that one.
They like doom metal.
No, I mean, right now in Denver, like doom and black metal is much bigger than when it comes to death metal. From what we've seen is that, I mean, when it comes to death metal, there's a lot more like brutal death metal in that aspect. I wouldn't say there's a whole lot of like melodic or like progressive type death metal. Yeah, like there's like Veil of Nath, and then there's also now Blood Incantation. They're really tight as well. But honestly, beyond that, I mean, like shows can be really fun here. It just depends on what day of the week. But there's always shows going on, so sometimes it can be hard to get like a good crowd because everyone's split between so many shows.
Are you guys able to get a bill of other like bands?
It's tough. Yeah, it can be tough.
Yeah, because again, going back to Jay playing in his band, Jay's mentioned some of the bands that he's played with, and it's like, man, it's just like a mini Vakken over here with this. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like honestly, with Denver, there's a lot of really talented, creative musicians out here. So I mean, it's not that it's hard to find other talented bands, but it's hard to find like-minded bands.
A match, yeah.
I've got another question from Will that sort of relates to this. He was asking about the Denver scene as well, and he was also curious whether there were other metal scenes in Colorado, and or is Denver really the only place for metal in Colorado?
Yeah, Colorado Springs has a great following, and Fort Collins especially as well. There's some great venues up there. Yeah, and like a Legion who's signed to Metal Blade Records, they're from Fort Collins originally. They live, most of them live here in Denver now. But Glenwood Springs up in the mountains as you're going up through I-70, that is actually surprisingly a pretty fun place to play.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever even thought about this before, but as you can see here, I'm a big Caps fan, hockey fan. And you always hear about, teams when they go up to that high elevation, it's hard for them because they're not used to playing at that altitude and stuff. Have you guys thought that maybe you're able to play longer or not get as winded because you're so used to playing at altitude where if you guys were to come here, maybe you could play? It's a stupid question.
No, it's not. I think it's a great question, especially for the singer.
I got some science on that.
Oh shit!
So it's so we're practicing up here, and it's still like we still max out at a certain level of capacity for playing. But once we come down to like the sea level states, we'll definitely have more oxygen in our blood and our brain. So we'll definitely probably be able to have longer endurance and stuff like that. So, but I think the altitude affects our minds as far as everybody being into the slow, droney doom stuff.
You know what? Now, Evan, you just gave me a perfect example to tell my wife why I disappoint her in bed sometimes. It's the altitude.
Ooh.
It's the altitude, babe.
Babe, it's the altitude.
It's the altitude.
Let's go to Florida.
No, you can also drink more, so there's that. We play Nebraska surprisingly a lot. There's a great scene in Nebraska all throughout, Scottsbluff. You go down North Platte, in Podunk, Columbus. I shouldn't use that word. We love those guys out there. Omaha as well. No, it's great in Nebraska. And we've played Kansas a lot. So we kind of played around the surrounding states. We always go back to Nebraska. We have, good friends out there too. And, especially some of those places, especially in the Bible Belt, you'll get a lot of those fans that are really hardcore into their, metal, and they don't get a lot of good shows. And we played this one tiny little town called Hastings, and it was this tiny bar. The place was packed. We played like 3 songs and got paid like $100. It was like, okay, cool. Like it was, what a crowd. I'm serious. Like sometimes in Denver, it's just like, I don't know. Everybody's kind of got, I feel like people in Denver don't want to have as good of a time as they could be. Like, well, I got to also look cool while I'm watching this band.
last episode, we interviewed Theories, a grind band from Seattle.
Yeah, I saw them play not too long ago. They kick ass.
Yeah, they kick ass. And we didn't get a chance to talk to them after the show, but the show was held here in Frederick, Maryland at a little shithole fucking venue. And the guy who runs the sound, we mentioned it last episode, is that old guy where in his head, him and his Marlboro Reds right on the sound. He has this long gray hair. He thinks he's the shit, but it sounded horrible. Do you guys? Yeah, I mean, no disrespect, but playing in the small venues, have you gone into those venues and right away, oh, the sound sucks? And is that deflating when that happens, guys?
Definitely. There's one place in particular, which I will not name, but everybody knows how bad it is, and no one goes there, but they try so hard.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, the sound is always shit.
Like,
no one ever goes.
Yeah, like Black Fast came through that same venue last weekend, and I wanted to go see them because they're one of my favorite bands right now. But I couldn't pull myself together to go see them again because it's not enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys like beer?
If I could drink beer, I would love beer.
Beer.
No, there's a brewery out here called Black Sky Brewery.
I was just going to ask you about that.
I actually used to be a cook there, and we had our CD release show there, and they made a pile of Priest beer for us.
Awesome!
And dude, those guys are awesome. Like, they make beers for local bands. They really support the local scene in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Will, the guy that I'm asking these questions for, he's a brewer at currently at Fairwinds Brewing in Virginia. And so he's our resident beer god, and he brews beers for local bands. And so he wanted me to ask you about Black Sky Brewing and also True Brewing.
Yeah, True Brewery is another great local metal brewery. They don't serve like food or anything in the place, but yeah, no, they support a lot of local metal scene as well. They try to help put on some shows too.
Yeah,
cool.
Was your beer called Pile of Pilsner or something like that?
It was the Scotch Father Ale.
All right,
that's all.
Here's another thing about the beers. Like, we have True and Black Sky, which are metal scene friendly. But the thing is you go up to areas like Longmont, north of Denver, and you have like Left Hand Brewery, you have Oscar Blues, and then so there's all these like hipster style breweries that actually really probably make the best beer in the country.
Yeah,
and you get to have pot too. What the fuck?
Yeah. So now we have all these growers, and then we have 300 plus microbrews throughout the entire state. So I think that's a record for the world. But yeah, there's some good stuff out here.
That's awesome.
If I lived there, I'd be fucking huge. Jeez.
Dude, hey, if you guys ever come out to Colorado, hit us up, man. Like, we'll meet you at Black Sky, get a great pizza.
I tell you, that's the one thing I love about the podcast. We've made so many great friends. I would love to see you guys live and meet you guys and hang out with you guys. With this tour, you guys teased. George will edit this out, but
no,
you don't have to. You don't have to.
If you guys, can maybe hint at it, will you be traveling far?
Is it going to be like a West Coast, middle of the country?
It's going to be all West Coast. We would love to head out east. It's just east is so far from Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, come on out. I'm on the West Coast. We'll be glad to have you.
Yeah, but sometime later on, like maybe later this year or maybe next year, we would love to head out east.
Let's get you guys at Maryland Death Fest. Get them at Death Fest.
Yes, we would love to be on that.
Yeah, you guys ever thought about making it out here for Death Fest? Have you ever looked at lineups before and said, I need to be at that?
Oh, absolutely. Without, hesitation for sure, whether or not I want to just go to the show or if we can play the show somehow. And since we're getting a little bit more, I guess professional with the way that we approach the band and getting shows and such, we have, more of a legit press kit now. So we think that, if the time is right, we could try and get on a bill like that. What happened this round was we only had about 2 weeks that we could use. So we figured it would just be too long to go around towards the East Coast. And we already had most of the connections in the West Coast too, so it kind of just fell into place. But we do plan on doing that at some point. Now, absolutely, get down to Florida too.
Now, Evan, you just mentioned it. You guys, have like more of a real press kit going into it, and as the band is starting to, I'm going to say it now, is going to gain some traction. Were you guys, I guess, prepared for the business aspect of it? Because I don't know what goes into like managing merch, managing a Bandcamp page, and all that stuff?
Yeah, no. So I mean, I'll handle a lot of the like marketing type promotion stuff. So we managed to get a hold of a PR company based in Portugal called Against PR, and they loved us. And I think that's actually how you guys found out about it.
It is. Yep.
Yeah, no, dude, Katya from them, like they've been awesome. They've been helping us get a lot more reviews and get more exposure. And she's going to help us promote like the tour as well online. But beyond that, like for marketing and all the merchandise and everything, we've tried to find the best contacts, make friends with everyone. And beyond that, just keep pushing because, I mean, like every band, no matter what genre you are, you should have a great press kit, a great PR company to work with, and a product to sell. And
this is like a motivational speech all of a sudden. I'm loving this. Make friends with everybody. Be friendly.
Love everybody.
Had any label interest?
We've looked at labels. We would love to try and get signed so we can tour more. But so far we are just independent.
Yeah, we're definitely interested. The thing is, we don't want to get on something that's too small and isn't going to really help us out. And then again, a lot of those bigger labels too, they'll screw you over. And we don't want to get into that. I mean, we just want to be able to play with, bigger bands. And I think, kind of like an intermediate sort of deal, as long as, we read the fine print and everything, I think that you'd find the right place.
Yeah,
guys. I'll ask the other Evan this. Bring him back into the fold here.
Yeah.
With you guys, releasing the album on Bandcamp, independent right now. Is there thought, or are you guys in the position right now that if that label did come knocking? Because I have a career, I've been doing it for 11 years. How do you guys, take the step to say, do we chase this, or what do we do with the jobs that we have?
Yeah, see, that is definitely a big deal because, especially with me, I do have a job that could, especially now, bloom into a career. I could just go into the IT right now and just quit everything. Yeah. But, something like this, it would probably have a lot to do with what the label has to offer. We'd really have to go over the contract. We'd probably need a lawyer at that point.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And, the hard thing with that is, guys, is that, it's just not one person. 3 of you guys would have to go in on where you guys are in your lives and stuff like that. I can't even imagine, because I've, I look at all these bands that have seen some success on Bandcamp with selling a lot of copies and something, and I wonder if they went into it expecting, well, hey, look, we released it on our own. Look at this success we've seen. But now, what the hell do we do with it now?
Yeah, you need somebody that can capitalize on it, but then
But then again, you just can't. I hate to say, we all know what the music industry is now. Yeah. You all just can't say, hey, work, fuck off.
Yeah.
fuck you. You're cool. I'm out.
Yeah, it's not the 70s or the 80s anymore.
No.
Yeah, exactly. And that's rough. And a lot of guests who we've had on the podcast, tours and stuff, come from them having a couple weeks worth of leave saved up from work. Right. Like, when we interviewed Matt Barlow, of Iced Earth fame, and Matt Barlow, he's a cop now. He's able to take his band Ashes of Aries and do little mini 4 or 5, 10 date tours when he has leave.
I'm on PTO for our tour, and that's all the PTO I get for this year. So,
wow.
That says a lot about that.
See, yeah, and that says a lot, because if you guys have, wives, girlfriends and stuff, you won't be spending those days off with the family,
Yep, and I'll be sick at work, miserable, because I can't stay home now.
When you guys will be touring, will you be driving around in a van, seeing the world, or seeing the country?
Yes, and more awesomeness from Denver. From Black Sky, we've met so many awesome people. People who can brew beer. People who I've met this awesome chick who does screen printing. She made patches for us. She can make embroidered hats and everything. And this guy, Sam Panthers, he owns his own
Sam Panthers, dude, this is my fucking name from now on.
That cannot be his real name.
I just seriously, George, from now on.
I was going to claim it first. Give me that.
Fuck you. I'm Sam Panthers.
And all my video games now, I'm going to use that. Yeah, I'm Sam Panthers.
That's a porno name, dude.
It might be made up. I don't know. Anyways, he's got his own repair shop. He also does tour rentals for trailers and vans, and he's got this van set up for us. It's got 4 or 5 rows. I think we're going to be able to sleep in the van, and it comes with a trailer too. So he's hooking us up with that. He goes by the Satanic Mechanic.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's an awesome guy, and he's helping us out big time with that.
Is this going to be your first road trip as a band, guys, touring around?
No, not necessarily. We've gone to, like I said, Nebraska, and we've kind of floated around the Glenwood Springs.
So you have done the van thing?
We have, yes. And before he was in the van, before he was in the band, Sean was still the drummer, right. And before the van, we actually had a van with our old drummer, and we went on a road trip in 2010 to California. We actually played the Whiskey A Go-Go and opened up for Immolation and Vader, so that was ridiculously awesome. And then came back around, played in New Mexico, so that was kind of our first little taste, but now we're actually getting a legit leg of a tour on.
Just, check the tires, fucking keep the speed down, because every couple months you hear these tragic stories of these bands either fell asleep, blew a tire, the van flipped over 37 times.
It seems to be more recent now too. Or I'm just hearing about it. I don't know, but yeah.
Luckily, everybody most times makes it out okay, but then you always hear how the gear is trashed. Watch it. Just watch yourself.
Getting stolen and whatever.
or getting stolen.
That's the big one too.
Yeah, you always hear about them assholes stealing band shit.
Whole van's worth of equipment driving down the bad side.
Well, it'll be easier since we'll be all sleeping in the car. So I guess that'll. Yeah. Well, I mean, if they break in, we'll have to fight them, I suppose. We'll see. I'll bring my nunchucks.
The fact that you pronounce it nunchucks makes me think you're not too familiar with how to use those.
They make you go numb, right?
Yeah, you got it. No, you're right there. That's good. I mean, I fucking know, but
when they're on tour, they leave a pile of priests in their wake.
Well, the whole time, George, we're sitting here, I'm trying to think of. You remember when Twisted Sister went out as Bent Brother? I'm trying to think of a word for pile as nun, so you guys can do a side thing called the something of nuns. But I just can't come up with it, so I'm gonna keep thinking.
One of the guys who interviewed us not too long ago, he what did he say? He said mounds of ministers.
Oh, that's good.
I got one with nuns. From the Nile came nuns.
There you go, dude. Also, Altar Boys. We can work on something with the Altar Boys.
With the Altar Boys, indeed.
Again, we're talking to guys from Pile of Priests, Void 2, Enlightenment. It's on Bandcamp now. You guys also have a Facebook page. Anywhere else where you can direct people to check out your guys' shit?
Yeah, so right before we released the CD, we put it up on CD Baby, and we were able to get it on Apple Music, Apple Streaming, Google Play, Spotify. We also got it on a bunch of other streaming and downloading services internationally as well. So it's basically available wherever you want it.
And if you guys wouldn't have done that on your own through CD Baby, some Russian hacker would have put you guys on the Pirate Bay. And
the funny thing is, after we started releasing it more and using a PR company and stuff, it did get sent to a couple Russian review sites, and then after that we started noticing it on 20 different torrent sites.
Those Russians, man.
Yeah, we Google that shit. Yeah, it's on every Russian torrent site, I guarantee you.
I can't remember the band who it was, but you remember George and Jay? They came on. They're like, we knew we made it when it was Russian torrent sites.
Perihelion.
Yeah. Then we knew we had made it.
I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you about your logo and your cover artwork. Who did those?
So the logo itself was done by our good friend Andrew Sars. He plays in Scepter of Elgos currently. And the album artwork, that was done by Sam Nelson, a wonderful artist, great guy to work with. He lives in Salt Lake City right now.
It's suburb.
Yeah, somewhere in the pits of hell in Utah.
Right.
And but yeah, no, he's a great guy. He's also doing our tour artwork for our flyer. Stigma is his page, and but yeah, no, great guy to work with. Any band listening to this right now, if you guys want great artwork, go to him.
Yeah, Sam Nelson has done artwork for just about any handful of Denver bands. I can name them off right now, but there's too many. He's kind of the go-to guy for artwork down here in Denver, and rightfully so. It's incredible stuff. Yeah, definitely. And he worked with us. You know, it's kind of hard to, you know, kind of go in between messages like, no, I'm thinking more colors or a little bit less of this or whatever. But he did something that was, you know, totally portrayed what we were going for. I mean, obviously, the image, it looks like you're coming out of a cave and then you see the sun and the mountains.
Awesome.
You're getting out of the void to be enlightened.
Nice.
I have to ask you guys, with YouTube popularity, will we see a music video from you guys?
Possibly.
Just
Probably
please don't do a
soon.
lyric video.
Yeah, those are pretty lame. I agree. The videos that I have up on YouTube, I just kind of, you know, did
Yeah, I
them with
saw you guys
those
smashing
really-
a bottle of dollar bills.
Oh, yes. That was fun. No, there's no plans for a music video right now. Yeah, like Patrick said, we're really busy this year. So we got the tour coming up. Hopefully in May, we're going to be recording another EP. And then after that, we have a couple things in the summer plan, possibly another tour. And then, you know, something to kind of support the EP as well, maybe in the end of the year.
Okay, I'm going to ask it because if you could see, I don't know if you can see over my shoulder, my huge vinyl collection. All three of us are vinyl guys. First off, do you guys collect vinyl? We like to ask everybody. And will there be a Pile of Priest vinyl one day?
We are not vinyl collectors. I am a CD collector. That's just my medium. I used to work at a local records shop called Angelo's, and I swear, like every shift, I'd pick up a new CD. So I've, you know, beefed up my collection indeed. But there are, you know, people who love the vinyl, and yeah, like we were thinking about it too. But it's pretty pricey to print, and especially for us right now, there's just other merchandise items that we'd rather have, like more T-shirts. We want to have enough CDs. You know, a lot of people, especially in Denver, they go for the cassettes, and it just drives me nuts because, like, where the fuck am I going to play this thing? You know?
Yeah, fuck that, dude. Don't fucking take that bait. That's bullshit. That's
I think
like
it's silly.
times 1,000.
Yeah, it's like a nice little thing to have, but like you know.
Is there any way you guys could put this out on a 78 record? I mean, come on, go fucking,
right? Just a single
or reel to reel, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't understand.
That's how we're going to record the EP is reel to reel.
Yeah, good man.
I don't understand the whole cassette. I understand the vinyl thing because
Nobody does.
9 times out of 10, you know, you get a nice download code, but I don't understand the cassette thing.
I've got piles of them here that haven't been played in 20 years.
And you probably hate that dusty pile.
I do. I've been meaning. I mean, I don't know why I held on to them, but I'm a pack rat, I guess. But I would never ever listen to any of these again unless I absolutely had to.
You know how some guys come home and like take out their anger, or like, you know, they smack around something, or they drink beer. George comes home and just slaps the cassette deck. Just
fuck you.
Well,
do we need to have an intervention for your collection?
Well, these people that like cassettes obviously have not dealt with the agony of. I remember when Exodus Pleasures of the Flesh came out. I bought it on cassette, and I took it home, and it immediately got eaten by my tape player.
Yeah.
And to the point where I had to take the whole thing apart and put the cassette back together inside like a Maxell case because it was just completely fucked. And, you know, when you're in high school and don't have any money, that's you know, you're just like, no! Like the Darth Vader, like, you know.
Right.
I don't miss that at all.
I don't get that at all.
It's because they smoke too much hash.
Yeah, there you go.
They forgot why you don't use those anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, they do. Well, they'll be reminded soon enough if they try. You know what? I'm really not enjoying this.
Right? Like, why did we decide to do that?
What the fuck?
And I also wanted to mention too your guys' Bandcamp. The album is only $6. So guys, people, you spend more money on, you know, coffees or shit each day. Buy this albums for these guys. You guys have any Twitter handles, anything like that, where other people can follow you guys?
We're on Twitter also. I think we're starting up an Instagram. We're definitely going to get that going for tour to keep people posted. We're going to be posting a bunch of videos and keeping everybody updated that way. Facebook is usually our first place to go, especially since all our friends are already there. They can see it. They can share it. So we got to get, you know, more diverse into Twitter and kind of go that route. But we're definitely going to try and get on every social media site that we can, but not MySpace.
Breaking ground there, yeah.
What is a MySpace anyway?
No idea. So why don't we play a song from Void to Enlightenment? The first song we want to play is called Deranged Youth Secession. Can you tell us about that one?
That one is the song that I wrote about like school shootings and just kind of how, you know, somebody's their past and, you know, maybe their parents could weigh into how they come to do such violent acts of selfishness. And, you know, how our society plays into that as well. And it's our longest song from the album. It's almost 9 minutes long. And I think, you know, it's probably the opus in my opinion. There's just so much going on. And I think, you know, as far as like technicalities too, that was definitely one of the more technical songs, and trying to execute playing it and singing it at the same time was a chore for me. I write these riffs and I'm like, now I had to sing to this. What? I'm an idiot, you know? But yeah, no, it's one of my favorite tracks from the album, and it definitely, you know, pushes through as such.
All right. This is Pile of Priests from Void to Enlightenment, Deranged Youth Secession.
Yeah.
Society
Evan, I have to ask, did you just shave your beard?
Within the last like 2 weeks, yeah.
Because I'm looking through all like your pictures and press photos and stuff like that. I'm like, who's this castaway here? Like, man, that's pretty epic.
Yeah, dude. I've actually rose to a higher position at my job that's closer to the corporate side of things, but I still can keep my long hair. I'm never getting rid of that.
I just want to say,
ponytail it.
You are my favorite member of the band because you're wearing, I see in one of your shirts, a Rhapsody Power of the Dragon Flame shirt.
Yeah.
I fucking love that album.
See, and like I went through a pretty big power metal phase, and so Gamma Ray's cool, Halloween's cool, and a lot of those bands with like the happy-go-lucky riffs, but Rhapsody is the one that I think transcends all those bands.
And you're wearing a Opeth shirt and another one. I'll give you my phone number. We can talk.
Yeah, let's hang out. Let's hang out, bro.
So we're getting ready to play another song from Pile of Priests, Void to Enlightenment. I was hoping you could tell me about this one as well.
Yes, sir.
This is the song Templars of Sodomy. And before you get into it, I have to append this with the question, what exactly does a Templar of Sodomy do? Does this involve Turkish bathhouses?
It could, a long, long time ago. It's just about the Templars and how corrupt they were. They were sent on the mission from the church, but they would do anything and everything else in between to go behind their backs. They're also brilliant bastards, setting up like the first like kind of parcel system as well. But a lot of times they would go through and rape and pillage and take money, and they were even said to be doing head worship, so like some kind of like demonic type shit where they were not Christians. They did a lot, and I think they're great guys. So that kind of plays into that. The name was just, brutal, and I thought that was cool because it would offend somebody.
Doing it in the butt's brutal.
Yeah, what's brutal and offensive? Sure, that's kind of what we were going for, and that's the only song on the album that I use the 7-string guitar with as well.
All right,
okay.
Here it is, Templars of Sodomy.